and welcome to Fyrside Chats, conversations that inspire innovation. Fyrside Chats is a series of conversations with startup founders and enablers, leaders in business and government, and industry players in Western Visayas that push for innovative ideas that impact communities. This series is an initiative of FyrLab, an Iloilo City-based startup acceleration program funded by the Department of Science and Technology Region 6 and run by Youth First Initiative Philippines Inc. with support from UMWAD Western Visayas, a regional consortium for startup enablers, and the Innovate Iloilo movement. Good morning, I'm Anvi Magbanwa, your host for today. So with me here today are two beautiful ladies. On my left is Miss Mikaella Canaman, the founder and COO of Sowenscale, and on the far left side is of course Miss Daris Gonzales, the founder of GOra Delivery. So let me first ask you two beautiful ladies, can you tell us more about what you do and a little bit of the story or the backstory of how you came about these initiatives and startup businesses that you have? Miss Mikee?
So as you mentioned, I'm the founder and chief operating officer of Sowenscale. We are a business development services company. We do offer services for businesses that are tech-driven, just to keep it short. We're catering local and international clients as well. So as to our founding story, we were founded in the middle of the pandemic in 2020. Honestly, we take pride on sharing that story that we too were affected by the pandemic in our previous company, but actually it opened an opportunity for us. So with the people that I've been working with and I have attested what our capabilities are, we were able to build a company and actually leverage on the crisis because there are a lot of businesses who were really trying to survive the pandemic, and the way to go was really to integrate technology. So our expertise, because that's what we do in our previous company, we were really able to use that. And so we call ourselves Sowenscale, from the play of words of sow and scale. So those are the values we wanted to live by. So currently we're about to be on our third year this coming September, and we're working on more local brands now. We're bringing brands coming from the city, aside from those that were really international accounts.
So, I'm Daris. I'm the founder and the operations head of GOra Delivery. So, just like Mikee, GOra Delivery was actually born during pandemic as well. So, being stranded in your house, being in quarantine, not being able to go out, it's really hard to do errands, especially groceries during that time. And there's no one, wala kami malihog bala. So, a thought occurred to me that why not start a business out of it? Why not? So I thought, actually, we did not really thought about it a lot of time. So we only strategized about it for like a month, and I said, let's go out and try out this business, have this GOra Delivery. So GOra Delivery means go, actually. So we just use the GOra since it's a more relaxed and a more kumbaga slang in Ilonggo, like GOra, like ganon. So let's go, GOra lang, GOra Bell. So that's why GOra Delivery. So we are a local delivery business that aims to be the helping hand of the local MSMEs here in Iloilo City. So we are actually a B2B company. So we are more on helping other fellow small businesses here as their delivery arm.
Thank you very much to ladies. So for this for this episode of Fyrside Chats, we will talk more about the hustle culture. This was very much in during the pandemic because everybody wants to hustle. And comes the hustle is the birth of what we call Polywork. So basically, Polywork is holding multiple jobs at once. So prior to pandemic, we only engaged to one job. But the pandemic and the work from home setup have brought about or gave birth to what we call Polywork. And this means that multiple positions, multiple set of tasks, etc. So with this a kind of hustle, how do you navigate this kind of work setup?
Well, on my end, the nature of the business in itself is really to handle different brands. Okay, but it really shows that they're kind of like you do a lot of work because they are of different industries. But I think one thing that allowed us to navigate this industry is because we know our niche. Okay, so we really started out prioritizing certain industry, which in the case of the pandemic, it's really the food and beverage businesses. So they were really affected, and the way for them to thrive is to actually engage on digital channels. So not to mention, most of those that are really patronized here in Iloilo City, most of those businesses were run by traditional businessmen. The reason why we're also thriving is because we've gone into that space already wherein when we do services with this kind of businesses, we really look or leverage on data. So with the kind of work that we do right now, the idea of having technology and data, I think that's the best pitch that we can do with businesses right now. And we can do work digitally or remotely. So that makes it more possible or efficient to work in this kind of setup right now.
For you, Ma'am Dar?
So for me, actually, I haven't mentioned earlier. So aside from handling GOra delivery, handling the operations, I'm also a social media manager. I'm handling 4 brands currently, so 2 national and 1 international client. And I'm also, wala ko nadala kanina. I'm also the corporate secretary for Pitch Strategies and Consultancy Inc. So it's a marketing firm that we're about to launch later this month as well. So it actually sounded a lot of work to do. So what I actually do is just have to make sure that you manage your time well. Since being in this polywork type of working environment, it allows you to you have your own time. So you have to make sure that you manage it well. And it allows you to have flexibility as well because it allows you to wear different career hats. So you can be a tech person from this client. You can be a creative person from this client. You can be the operations head for your startup. So you can be anything you want. You just have to make sure that you manage your time and priorities well.
Very well. So for that, what are the challenges that you have faced in involving yourselves into this polywork kind of setup?
Well, on my end, I would often say that I feel like I grew up as a planner. So I do a lot of to-do lists and forecasting and creating systems. So the thing is, in this kind of work, or at least in our company, we thrive best if we're good with delegation, for example, or time management. But it's not just you, eh. The organization that you have to work with and the people that you have to delegate to, the challenge would be if that person is not capable of doing it. So I think one thing that allowed us to thrive in having multiple accounts and facing multiple personalities or clients would be our ability to duplicate ourselves, basically. And of course, the process, which is like the challenge, would be finding the right people and training the team and going through the process.
Yes. As for me, man, so opposite of Mikee, she's a planner. I'm more of a procrastinator, actually, by heart. But, oh yeah, it sounded negative, but I'm actually trying to reverse that one since now it's becoming a lot more busy. And I have to make sure that I have to prioritize things to get things done. So I always have to focus, and I have now to do planning. Just like Mikee, have a to-do list every day. Have a concrete schedule, like this time is for work, this time is for family, this time is for leisure. So you can establish a time schedule for yourself. So para nga, paghamba mo, 9 o'clock I have to work. So it's really more on focusing and yeah.
More on focus, planning, anticipating things.
Because it's a very extraordinary and dynamic place to be in, especially career-wise. So everything changes last minute. So you have to be very flexible at all times.
So flexibility is a must if you do the Polywork setup.
Yes.
So
Last minute changes,
and adjustments.
adjustments.
You also need to, I think fast and be able to address things consistently. With that, what excites you about this kind of particular work setup?
I love working. I love my job a lot. I feel like the process of like creating, initiating, and eventually going through the process, I like that a lot. I feel like it wasn't like I've seen people growing up who are in the business, or at least my family are not in the business industry. And so it makes you more curious. Yeah. So even when I was young, I feel like I had opportunities to practice being an entrepreneur. And that's what they say, like success could be contagious, especially if it's feeling, certain, if it's allowing you to reach certain dreams, if it's allowing you to experience things that only the output of such endeavor could provide. So that's number one. It's really, I like the process of it. Second, one thing that I've learned with coming up with this business right now is there's joy and pride if you get to share your success. And I mean, it probably is a millennial thing, but it's true when I say that I wanted my friends to be successful as well. Because when you have plans, okay, let's watch BTS, okay, so mga ganon. So it wouldn't be a concern anymore whether they have the funds for it, or they have the time for it, or they have the emotional bandwidth for it. So parang even with work, if you see parang they're all like wanting to reach the same goal as yours, that feeling in itself is really, I mean, I'm dedicating 40% of my life at my career, right? So I think I wanted to live in an environment that will allow me to have such experience, or such, it could be like a lifestyle, right? So I feel like the integration of my work to our personal joys and dreams, I think that's one thing that motivates me really well.
Correct. I agree, actually. So what excites me most about this is that the lifestyle that I want. So the work-life balance that I always dream of having about. So coming from a corporate setup, so you don't usually have the flexibility to sit down here and have this talk. You have to work 9 to 5, you have to specific schedule. So it's really the work-life balance. Like I can allot specific number of hours of my day to working, and a few hours to spend time with my family, a few hours to go out and have fun with my friends. And for me to be able to wear different career hats, as mentioned earlier. So I can be anyone I wanted to be. So it made me realize that you can be limitless as long as you tap on the right opportunities that knocks on your door.
So I think there's really a big weight in terms of flexibility and independence when it comes to Polywork work setup. And as with what Miss Mikee have said earlier, actually, it's typically being able to fulfill your dreams by fulfilling others' dreams as well. And it's a very good feeling. It's hambal mo ni Miss Mikee. It's close to being addicting, and it also becomes a lifestyle. You are fed by the fulfillment of fulfilling others' dreams. So amo na siyang yang ano. But we are faced also with a lot of challenges in order for us to be able to reach this kind of level of productivity. So with a lot of hats that you're wearing, how do you sustain and keep yourself productive in those different setups or different work setup that you currently are engaged?
People would call me out for being obsessed with planning. And to the point that I think when we were starting, I probably do micromanagement without me realizing. But the thing is, I feel like I've also reaped the fruit of such process, because 3 things. Number 1 is the delegation is very important. And delegation means a lot, actually. It means you're willing to entrust everything to that person, and you actually believe that the person can do the job. So sometimes if entrepreneurs, or if you're a perfectionist or an over planner, you would say na, will I give this task to this person? Maybe he wouldn't be able to do it or it won't meet the expectations. So that in itself is like, to me, it used to be like a bondage na I couldn't give it to other people.
Yeah. Letting go.
Yeah. Na parang ako na lang gagawa, parang ganon, just to make sure that it's going to be good, parang ganon. But I was able to overcome that eventually. But that's because, number two, I feel like we were able to tap on the right people.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, it takes a lot of like ability to, to know people. You have to be very smart at choosing people as well. And we've had experiences wherein, we also fail to tap on the right people, right? And I think the third one would be the training process. So it's true when they say that in this kind of work, we always lead the way and then, find the right process, the proven ones, and then be able to pass it forward or to turn it over to the rest. So it could come with like templates, with like culture. So far, I think those are the things that allowed us to thrive, or those are the priorities that we have to be able to operate having all this polywork.
Yes, and I actually agree with Miss Mikee. So you always have to make sure that you surround yourself with the right people, the people that will be able to inspire you, push you, and to continue to criticize you in a good way, to make sure that you always bring out the best in you. And secondly, since I'm handling different types of work currently, so make sure that to always hack my brain into being productive all the time is that there's actually just one thing. You just have to make sure that you separate your work zone from any zones in your house, like sleeping zone, chilling zone, eating zone, because psychologically, it tricks your mind that when you see your desk, when you see your own office, if you have the luxury of having your own office, it tricks your mind that you have to work. Like when you see your laptop, I have to work, I have to get things done. So you just have to make sure that when working from home or working remotely or anywhere you are, working on a cafe or restaurant, just make sure that you set different zones.
Yeah. And I think it is also the role of the founders, the leaders, the entrepreneurs to also identify their priorities really. The target in itself, the goals in itself, those should be the driver of the input. So the fact that we're doing a lot of things make people think na, or especially if there are like opportunities that are coming in, okay, am I gonna drop this opportunity? But then the goal of the team is to go to this direction. So we should be able to say no as well to those kind of opportunities and just really put in our effort into those that contribute to that end goal. Yeah. So that is also like one of the things that, although we are doing a lot of things, those things we know or should be really contributing to the end goal.
Yeah, and to add, B, if you're the leader, you're more of a visionary. So you see a long way ahead from your team. So you have to make sure correct delegation and make sure that everybody is aligned with the goal as well. To make sure it's successful.
Yes, last na lang. Because she mentioned doon na like, parang you have to separate work and personal life. One of our metrics, at least for this year at work, is even happiness at work. It, at least for us, because of the kind of environment that we have and the team that we have, it really is converting to see people who are happy in their personal and professional life, that they could do more and give more without being asked. So it's cliche, and even probably, the traditional businessman would probably, not consider that. But we're starting to talk about it to our clients who are not very open to it, but we really have to separate like 8 to 5. If it's 8 to 5, I mean, you expect us to respond within that time frame. We really have to separate, allow us to have our personal time. So we can go back to work and, energized again and willing to work again.
Yeah, because happy employees, happy, successful companies. So, goes well.
I think I would also like to agree about that. Happy employees produces happy and successful companies. But this might be actually a millennial thing. Millennial thing or Gen Z thing. As mentioned by Ms. Mikee, the happiness in the workplace. So with the millennial thing going on, there's a lot of issue going on in terms of overworking and burnout, especially for those who have a lot of tasks, trying to shift from one hat to another. So there would always be the tendency for burnout and overwork. And what is your take on that, or how do you deal with that?
Actually, I mean, it's so funny to see na I am never burnt out. I mean, that's not that's not a reality. But I couldn't like probably identify that it's actually burnt out. I feel like I'm on my zone or mode always of solving problems, or we are designed that we're not supposed to stress on the problem. Like everybody here, before you even come to me, when you try to bring me problems or a concern, I'm expecting you to already have like proposed resolution somehow. And I'm always telling the team, what's the worst thing that could happen? Like, why are you so stressed about this thing? What's the worst thing that could happen? Like, it's not the end of the world. It's not like the client will, you know, bash you or will, like get mad at you. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be the client facing. Yeah. I'm the pacifier. But I feel like, again, our role is to anticipate things and to solve problems. So, at least on my end, I kind of not into the idea of work-life balance anymore. It's more of like work-life integration. So there is an understanding that, say for example, we work with international clients. Obviously, there are times wherein you have to like still work at 11 p.m. for a call, for example, and you have to go to the day schedule to meet everybody. But if you try to resist a lot of those realities, I mean, it will really stress you out. But then at least on my end, I'm proud to say, I get to still, you know, when I have non-negotiables right now at this point in my life, wherein if it's family time and I wanted to be present, I will give that time to my family. If I wanted to like meet friends, I will give that time. So like right now, I commit to, say for example, MWF, we play badminton. So it's probably like at 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. And traditionally, that's like working hours. But that's because I'm going to work tonight. Yeah. So for me to manage or not, or to prevent myself from experiencing those, I have to somehow, again, I'll go back to planning and organizing that, okay, I have to give my time, myself the time to do my thing because the rest of the time will be consumed by work, to that effect. And it's very important also for me to rest. So weekends are really non-negotiables. But of course, you know, as entrepreneurs, as leaders, it's not true that you don't own your, you own your time. It's not true. It's just that you have a better control of your time. So, see for example, on a weekend, it's very non-negotiable that you have to meet a client and to that effect, then willingly we will. It's just that I have to fix my schedule. So I won't get stressed that I have to juggle everything and there are conflicts. But at the same time, I do a lot of work that does not serve other people. You know, work that only serves me. It doesn't have to make sense with our goals or our profit or the company. If I wanted to do Netflix binge watch all day, that's on me. I mean, I wanted to relax, for example. But at the same time, as of now, I think it's really the openness to not control everything. The acceptance that you don't have to control everything. You have to just commit on the process of training people and being able to delegate eventually. So you don't have to bring the burden all yourself. And last but not the least, I feel like because the environment at work is really cultured on accountability, I feel like we don't have those issues the traditional offices were in. Gabasulay, you know, they don't really ulikid their employees. So we are at this point in our life, in our company life, in the management we're in, the managers, they make the decisions for the team already. So say for example, there is a concern because the personal life is crazy, especially for women and young people. Yes. Like they have children and they have to run errands for their parents. We are at this point that we serve like two families. Like if you have a family, you have to attend to your husband, your children, and to your growing parents. So there are really tendencies wherein, oh my God, I have to take a leave, and to that effect. So we have already had this culture wherein if you have to go through your personal life, which we understand very much, the managers are always basically obliged to take on the role, and they do it willingly. It's not like, you know, last minute ka na magsasabi na mag-off ka, tapos talagang ilalagay mo sa alanganin. So we want to get away with that. And I feel like that helps a lot with the idea of getting away with burnout and being stressful at work.
Yeah.
On the culture of Ilonggo, gasal anay ka mo with the work. And I think that's one very special trait or special characteristic of Polywork, because hindi siya dependency, it's
Yeah.
interdependency.
Yes, actually.
So, ang mga amo na nga setup, just like that one, would actually and ultimately lead to you being able to depend on each other. And not just be able to have just one person nga
Leaning
kung
to the other.
isa ka person madula sa company mo or
Wala na, piang ka mo.
Yes, mapiang ka mo.
Yes.
So amo na siya ang, I think that's the beauty of the Polywork, in which you take on multiple hats.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you actually are very, very, very good or expert in that hat. It's just that you know how it works. When things fall out, you know when to complement each other.
Yeah.
Damo na siya ang iya nga set up for Polywork.
Yeah, and it's, sorry to add, and it's more of being really responsible and more of a mentality. Like, you have to be proactive this time. You don't have to just react on things went wrong, things like this. You have to have a proactive mindset all the time, and you have to be a problem solver. So this happens, so what will you do now? You always need to have like answer A, B, C, D if things go wrong. So you always have backup plans to make it work out. So at the end of the day, it's just a passing problem. So it's not gonna stay. So mindset lang din. Actually.
Mindset. Everything starts with mindset.
Yes.
Amo na nahambal nila.
Mindset ba?
Mindset ba?
Mindset and planning probably.
Yes.
And delegation,
Uh-uh.
tapping to the right network. But aside from freedom, kumbaga, gina-quote na nila freedom because 8 to 5 work is actually tying you up. And Polywork allows you a bit of a freedom in which you could control your own time.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, of course, aside from freedom, I'm sure that this kind of work, given that you are taking on multiple jobs, would also be financially lucrative. So, some are asking, how financially rewarding is it to be in a Polywork type of business?
I think if you ask me in the perspective of the company, wherein we're really designed to cater multiple industries or multiple brands, we kind of learned what models work if our goal is to be financially cash flow wise positive and exponential, the opportunity for exponential growth. We kind of like tested some business models and processes already. So parang strategy na to na part that could somehow answer, or at least I could confidently say that it is, if you just know how to go about it. So say for example, we have a business model that is allowing us to be sustainable. So it covers all our operations expense and our payables on a monthly basis. But at the same time, we have a business model that allows exponential growth. So it's just a one-time thing kind of setup, and it has the ability to scale already. So at least for that, it's proven that it could be financially rewarding. But if you go back to like on our personal life, perhaps being involved in a lot of these things, it's case-to-case basis.
Yeah. Depends.
Yes, because say for example, when we were starting, I also have to make financial decisions that are risky. Okay, so when we were starting, I have to cover for people's salaries, for example. So you couldn't really say that, of course, when you're in business, you probably have initial, loans, for example.
Yeah, not all the time.
Yes, and if the metrics is, sorry, I'm so confused right now which angle I would focus on. But I feel like if you're a problem solver, if you know how business works, you're always rich. Because we're even saying that if this does not work, we can always come up with something else.
Yeah.
It's not about just having money in the bank. It's being able to produce something in value that term namon, hindi na kami magutman niya. We will never be abandoned because we know the formula to this. We have the right people, we know how to tap on networks, we are good with our clients to the point na hindi namin kailangan mag-hard sell. Parang ganon. So, financially, perhaps I would say, yes.
It's very much rewarding on the financial aspect. I think it's also the reason.
And to add, at this time, I'm more angling on my social media manager side. So it actually, yes, it can be lucrative and it allows you to have different income streams as long as you know how much clients you can take. So with this Polywork setup, I've met a lot of people online, and more actually, the younger generations, the millennials and the Gen Zs have realized that they can actually earn dollars or earn pounds without leaving the country. So actually, that's the beauty of it. You can be a VA. Kasi when I came into this world, in the social media managing world, there's a lot to it. Like there are SEOs, there are paid ads manager, there are a lot. So you just have to know what skills to hone, what skills to tap, and you can definitely earn from a lot of it without leaving your home, without leaving the country. So it can be, as long as you know what you can take. Just don't burn yourself out. Don't stress yourself out much.
It's also exponential growth in terms of growth, self-growth and professional growth. Same time financially without compromising
your mental
health, your relationship with family, etc. So with everything that comes with it, what is your biggest why on why you thrive and you continue this kind of work setup despite all the ups and downs?
If you ask my 22-year-old self, definitely the answer would be different. And people give a face whenever they hear me say that. There are transitions in my life that I feel like I just wanted to live my best life at this young age. And, I come across clients or mentors who would teach us about, having to do all your best all the time to be successful. I feel like I've come to the point that, well, success is a mindset, but it's something that you cannot, it is something that you cannot fake. So it shows in your life. It shows in your mindset. It shows with the way you treat other people. So I'm at this point that I feel like there's so many factors that affect my success or my definition of happiness, and it has a lot to do with work. I mean, like we know, 40% of our life will be dedicated to our livelihood or sources of income. And I feel like I wanted to live in an environment that will allow me to be a good person, be a kind person, be a generous person, an empowering person. So the process of being able to build that, because I'm in the position that I can create my own culture. I don't have to go through the traditional, not even effective human resources policies. Yeah. The idea that you don't have to go to work at 8 to 5, we'll just have to agree on certain things, like whether it's an output or a commitment, deliverables. And if you tell me that you wanted to go to Europe for 1 month, but still your commitment is, you didn't abandon anyone, you didn't abandon your work. You can function, everybody is, still connected and still working and operating. I think everybody deserves that life. So I think at this point in our life, we know that what's happening, globally, it's crazy. And there's just so many things that I don't think we're supposed to be missing out. And that's my biggest drive as to why I wanted to make sure that not only will I get to experience this, but everybody in the team. Because if I can dedicate my strength at work because I know that I can have this benefits or this kind of life, then I feel like if I have to let you feel it, let you experience it, you would do the same. And that's how things grow if you pass on the culture. Yeah.
Making everybody around you happy and successful in their own terms.
Yes, in their own terms. And as for me, my ultimate drive is that this Polywork setup lets me live the life that I want, the lifestyle that I want. To be able to spend more time with my friends and my family, with my loved ones, while not losing a day at work. So to be able to, go places, go travel, go anywhere you want. And as long as you have the internet, you can still work. I mean, the beauty of polywork and remote working is that just it defies boundaries of the traditional working environment. So because I was thinking back when I was in my corporate world, I was still in my previous company before, I can't do things like this, which I've always dreamed about. And now that I'm here and I'm actually living it, it's like, finally, I can do this. It's happening, and I don't want this to stop. I just want to continue life living like this. So, amo na.
So, with everything that you have said about polywork and how it actually is transforming and defining boundaries, do you think that polywork is, kumbaga, they call work of the future? Do you think it is the work of the future? Why or why not?
Definitely, there will be a lot of opportunities for this kind of work setup. But with the many things that we've mentioned, no, I feel like we're just mentioning the beauty of it. We're not mentioning,
The dark side.
the dark side of it. Yeah. I'm not gonna say that like it's the future of work wherein everybody should opt for it or like should go for it, because there are a lot of factors to consider if you will thrive in the industry. So say for example, in terms of skill set, in terms of way of work, so in terms of your personalities and your growth plans. So if you do go for remote work, especially if you find it more profitable, or it really depends even on your motivation. But some people, they work best with people. So they would opt for like a sense of belongingness, or a company
Working with a team.
working with a team. They feel like they would be able to grow and enjoy much more of it, or in terms of even growth, right? So I feel like the future of work is gearing more towards just doing some tweaks on work culture. Like for example, maybe the way HR is functioning should be different. The way we treat productivity should be different. And I think what drove the polywork a trend is really because there's many ways to hack on productivity, and there's many ways to be financially able, just because you have that skill set to juggle many things.
Yeah. And to add to that, actually, I think it's not just the future. I think it's happening now. With the angling more on the social media side, and with the people that I have met, actually, I think it's right here now. And it's kind of imposing a little bit of threat to the traditional companies now, especially here in the Philippines, that we're so used to the time bound, like you have to be in by 9 and 8 and everything must be done before you go out. I think it's a posing threat because more and more younger generations now are realizing that they can actually work outside that, work beyond that. And I think, yes, more on the HR, how they do things, and probably how the company do things internally. And I think that they have to adjust what's happening on the polywork side of the world. Like, they probably might be in the future, they might probably be looking into offering part-time jobs or a flexible work from home, that they are certain days na they can just go in the office and sometimes they can work remotely, so that they can partake on other things or other passion projects that they have. So, muna.
To add though, I think it's worth mentioning the very reason as to why people opt for polywork. So it could be that the job that they are in right now does not meet their financial needs. So they would opt for like getting part-time jobs. Second, it could be that, okay, you are well paid here because, we, like traditional businesses, I think they would try to fight focus as well, right? If I'm the entrepreneur and I would know that, okay, you're trying to juggle this with other jobs that you have, but I feel like you have to focus on this job, it is just right for the entrepreneurs or the founders to also negotiate and say, what is it that you're trying to fill in? What are the gaps in your life that you're trying to fill in with that kind of additional job? So if I could negotiate to say, just focus on this one because, it's going to be more productive, which means what needs to be changed eventually would be like probably, it's not just salary that you give to your employees. Maybe you can do profit sharing eventually. That effort will just be directed to the company, but it could fill the gap on their financial needs. But of course, there are also scenarios wherein I do polywork because of passion. So that part right there, even at work, we ask that question. So if it's something that you wanted to be good at, maybe there is a channel at work wherein you can practice that. Yeah, do your passion in the company that contributes to the goal of the company, just to keep everybody's focus and motivation and drive. Because true that although there is time management, when you try to juggle things, sometimes there's really opportunity cost. You really have, sometimes you get to sacrifice one from the other. It's
just to get things done.
Just to get things done. So, like, although we are, poly workers, there is certain limit to it as well, especially if you are in a collaborative or in an organization where everyone's effort is also expected.
You just have to know kung diin hasta kaya mo. Yeah, you don't have to overwork yourself. You don't have to overpromise and underdeliver. So it's a big no-no, especially in this polywork type of working environment.
Just to manage expectations and deliver what was expected of you. So I think that's it for today's interview or today's chat about polywork. So any last few words, Ms. Mikee and Ms.
Daris?
Daris?
Just the last few words would be, there's a lot of opportunities out there. It's limitless, actually. You just have to know what channel to go, just have to know which people to talk to, just have to know which team to partake onto, and you can actually actualize your dream. So nothing is impossible. So as cliche as it may sound, but nothing is impossible as long as you know who you are and the things that you can do.
Ms. Mikee?
People might find it fancy right now and, very inspired to do polywork and all.
Yeah.
But it's different depending on the phase of your life that you are in. So if you are getting towards, or if this is your motivation, our motivation is your motivation, I feel like a few things that you will really have to invest on right now is definitely talent and a skill set that you have to improve. And at the same time, there's no such thing as you will grow in this industry by working on your own or starting, the very first job that you will get is polywork right away.
No, not right away.
So always start by getting the training that you need. Because only by then that you can be confident. Because take note, if you do polywork or if you do remote work or do independent work, you will depend on yourself alone. And that's a lot of, for you to be able to get that, to muster the courage to depend on yourself, that means you were able to do a lot of problem solvings already. You have skills that you can depend on already. So there's a lot of work before you even get into the phase wherein you can say that I'm for this industry right now and I will thrive in this industry.
And to add, in terms of honing your skills, there's a lot of online free courses right now. It's out there. There's a lot of online free courses, trainers that offer their services for free. Hone your skills and you'll be where you are supposed to be.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mikee and Ms. Dar. So if our audience would like to know more about your respective startups, how can they contact you or how can they find you?
Okay, so for those who are interested, by any chance that you feel like you wanted to be in a culture wherein the processes and the people will allow you to thrive, we do invite actually paid internships. We do have a lot of openings right now. So nasabi namin kanina that for us to thrive, we should know how to delegate. So for us to scale, that means scaling the talent acquisition part as well. So if you wanted to be part of Sowenscale, definitely you can find us on Facebook or visit www.sowenscale.asia or simply message me on Facebook. So just find me, Mikaella Canaman, and definitely I'll be very happy to accommodate them.
Yes, and if you want our services from GOra Delivery, so you want to be our partner, or if you want to just avail an errand or have your food delivered, so you can find us at Facebook at goradelivery.com. And if you want to avail my services as well, plugging in a social media manager, you can find me on Facebook. So my name is a little bit different there. So I'm Gopie Gonzales, Gopie Gonzales. Just message me there, or you can send me an email at darispgonzales@gmail.com. And for pitch strategies, we're gonna be launching soon, so we'll keep you updated.
Thank you very much, Miss Mikee and Miss Dar. So that's it for today's episode of FyrLab. Thank you once again for watching Fyrside Chats. Currently, we are here at Kutsu Cafe, located at San Rafael, Mandurriao, Iloilo City. And today's edition is powered by Mulave Studios, Shaping Ideas. Next chapter, Capturing Stories. And Dame Digital, digital marketing that matters.